Thank you so much for making time out for this session. I've been waiting for this session to happen because there's always so much focus on, when it comes to tech sales, people that maybe sell SaaS products, right? The usual, payments, HR. We don't really get a lot of people in the health space, right? Who work in healthcare, who have sold health tech, products, services around. So I've been excited for this session. When I met Fumi, I was really pumped when she agreed to come speak with us. She is a pharmacist turned turned saleswoman. Right. I know it's been a very exciting journey over decade. Right. How did you get into sales from like pharmacy? I would have understood if you had gone from, let's say, business, or something related, right? Then from going from medical to business. How did that happen?
All
Your
right.
muted.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much also to you, Titi Lokwe. It's not by chance that you are head of sales and marketing of Enyata, because I would say that Titi Lokwe typically chased me into the hole to get this done. It's been a busy season for us in medical sales, healthcare sales, but I am absolutely glad to be here tonight. And to Titi's question, how did I get into sales? Okay, so yes, she mentioned I am a trained pharmacy. I'm a pharmacist, sorry, pharmacist. I'm a pharmacist by training. And back in school days, I also used to be very quiet, highly introverted. And everybody would have thought that I would end up in um, hospital practice or retail, community practice, as it's termed here. But for some reason, when I did my NYSC and came out, I met a friend who just came to me and said, "Fumi, why don't you try, one of these multinational companies? Try if you can work with them. They don't do so much of selling. What they do basically is detailing." It was just trying to encourage me. He wasn't with a multinational. He was doing something I would say a lot more into, was a lot more into course sales, but he kind
No.
of pushed me, and I interviewed in one, two, three places and eventually got myself into sales with Pfizer. So that's how I got myself into sales.
Wow. Okay, before we get into this session, just like one or two more questions, because I know to get you here again, going to take a lot of fasting and pray. So you spent 9 years, 9 years, right, at Pfizer. What was that like,
Yep.
being in a business role for 9 years at Pfizer before you then moved to other companies that you worked with? Now GE, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
nine
so
years.
my 9 years in Pfizer is a long time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty long. But it was more about what I was doing and the face of my life at the time. So I was a new wife and a new mom. And I also was someone who had a lot of things to learn at Pfizer. So I didn't do only sales in Pfizer. I started as a salesperson. So I moved from what you would call a regular sales representative. I became a professional sales representative. Then I did account management for a long time. Account management in this balance doesn't mean something around accounting. It's just like customer relationship management or business development, as you may call it. And I went on again to do channel management. The FMCG guys will call it distributor management. I did distributor management in Pfizer. And somewhere in between this mix, I had a lot of, I had a lot of secondments. So I was on secondment in marketing. So I did marketing in Pfizer. I was also on secondment in leadership, learning and development. There was a team in Pfizer we called the train the trainer team. We used to call it the field force faculty. I was a member of that team. And what the team used to do at the time was they would train you'll be trained to train. So we would go all around, West Africa, basically Nigeria and Ghana, really, to induct people, new staff who were supposed to come into sales in Pfizer. We were the ones who would go to their regions, to induct them, to make sure that, they got a good footing in sales. So that was how my 9 years went. And it went so fast. It went so much in a breeze that I didn't even know when the 9 years was completed.
Nice. Amazing. I was, I'm really curious. I've been meaning to ask, because it's not very common. Well, on this side, right, to have that. Yeah, you have that with some multinationals. But like, on this side of tech, it's not. It's not unusual, but it's not very common. That I wanted to, ask that question. All right, so I'd like Fumi get into it. Shortly before she kicks off, Fumi is someone that has a really rich experience when it comes to healthcare. I know we have a number of people in the community who have had questions, around, working as a sales professional, a business professional in healthcare. And sometimes it might feel like our answers to your questions are not sufficient enough. And so we decided to bring someone who's living the life, right, to come answer questions, to come open us up into our own world. And I'm sure it's going to be a sales session. Please take us through what it means to be in a business role, right, in the healthcare space.
All right. Thank you so much, Titi Lope. I appreciate this. I have a couple of slides, so I'm just going to share my slides and talk us through, what I have for us today. Just a minute. Let me bring this up. Okay. All right. So, but before we kick off, right, can you just tell me in the chat? I just want to be sure that the chat box is working. Just a minute. I'm trying to do a couple of things here, technology, but put it in chat for me. I want the session to be as interactive as possible, where your name and where you're joining from. For instance, Fumi, Lagos. Your name and where you're joining from. Okay. I can't get to see the chat box. Okay, so that's it. So Korede, I can see Korede is from Abuja. I filled mine too. So my name is Fumi and I'm joining in from Lagos. Thank you very much. I see Kemi from Lagos. I see Henry from Port Harcourt. I see Deborah Matheson from Cape Town. I see Tolu from Lagos. While you are doing this, can you please let me know if you can see my screen? If you can see my screen, just put in yes for me in the chat box. Yes, I can see your screen. If you can see my screen, please let me know. Okay, so I get the gist. Okay, so if we need to, okay, thank you very much, Donald. Thank you very much, Deborah. I think I will just kick off right away. All right, so I'll issue a disclaimer here. It's like Titi Lope wants me to squeeze in 14 years into 1 hour, and I will try my best in whatever way possible to do this. The topic for us tonight is navigating sales and business roles in the healthcare space. And I'm going to follow this overview. I do not think that this would overly cover everything we need, to cover when it comes to sales or sales in the healthcare space or business in the healthcare space. But I hope that at the end of, this session, every individual in this, room would have something very tangible to take with them. So we're going to look at sales. We're going to talk around sales. We're going to talk about the sales role in the healthcare space. We're going to compare healthcare sales with tech sales. You can switch that tech sales and put sales in other industries, as the case may be. We're going to talk about how to close sales. I would have taken out that in the healthcare industry, save for the fact that Titilope put healthcare industry in my topic. So I'm leaving it there. Otherwise, it's closing sales in whatever industry you find yourself. We're going to look at the makeup of A-list salesmen. I want to believe that when we're done, we would be able to say that we have been able to bring up A-list salesmen on this call. We're going to look at roles in healthcare sales. One of the memos that came to me from TT was to say that what are the roles that people are sleeping on in healthcare sales, and they seem not to know what's up there. They seem not to know where you can make the Benjamins in healthcare sales. So we're going to look at roles in healthcare sales. We are going to also summarize, and then I'll take questions and answers. So just before we start, tell me in the chat box, when you hear the word healthcare, what readily comes to your mind? I want to look in the chat box now. When you hear the word healthcare, what readily comes to your mind? Like, okay, you hear healthcare, what readily comes to your mind? Put in the chat box, when you hear the word healthcare, what do you think of when you hear healthcare? What's hospital? Ayodele says, what the first thing that comes to his mind is hospital drugs and patients, yes. Doctors and nurses, yes. As a salesperson, FMCG, okay. All right, so when you hear healthcare, what comes to your mind? We're not going to dwell around healthcare a lot today. I would love that we can carry everyone along and really focus more on sales. So this might just be like, around the part where we would dwell a little around healthcare. And it's just to give, someone says money. Henry says money. When he hears healthcare, he thinks about money. And truly, I can't deny the fact that there's a lot of money in healthcare, in the healthcare space. So you can come and join us, whether as a salesperson or not. But yes, money. Thank you very much, everyone. Good. So when you hear the word healthcare space, these are the things that come on your mind. What readily comes to my mind when I hear about healthcare is care for people. Is how that, how do we give the best to every single patient that comes our way? And that's why being a salesperson in the healthcare space is a huge passion for me, because it resonates with what, my life values are. It resonates with what exactly I think I'm called to do. It resonates with what I love, what I absolutely love to do. All right, so we'll move on now and talk about sales. I'm going to take off that that slide because I want us to talk a little. So sales, who can give me how you think, what your thoughts around sales is? Put it in the chat box. Thank you, Humbo Sesi. You say that when you hear about healthcare, you think improving health via diagnosis, treatments, and the like. Thank you very much. I think that is absolutely awesome. It kind of summarizes, what healthcare is about. So tell me, how do you define sales? I've taken off my slides because I see that some people may want to sneak into what I put there. So how do you define sales? What comes to your mind when we talk about sales? Let's get to the chat box quickly, so that we can save time. There's a lot to talk about this evening, and I want us to really be able to save a lot of time. So what do we think about sales? Okay, my slide is still showing. I see. Okay, so some people are actually just sneaking into my slides. All right, go ahead, no problem. So what do you think? I'm trying to, don't mind me, my slide should be in slideshow, but I'm trying to navigate between seeing the chat and also ensuring that you can see my slides. So for that reason, you may not see it in slideshow. Okay, sales means money. Don't I just love Kimberly for this for this definition? Exchange of goods for money. Deborah must have copied my expo that is on this screen. Exchanging value for money, exchanging goods and services. Thank you. Shebi, you have all kukuma copied my. All right, thank you so much for your responses in chat. Exchanging goods and services for money. exchanging value for money. That's absolutely what sales means and more. So let's talk around sales for a bit. How do you define sales? First off, swapping goods and services for money. I like the fact that a lot of people have said that you want to exchange goods and services for money. You want to also exchange goods and services for some other goods and services. How many of us remember trade by barter back in the day? I remember when I was young, some people will come around the house, they will take our old clothes and they'll give my mommy like a basin or a bucket. I don't know if they still work these days, but that was some form of trade by barter. Sales also means closing deals. Closing deals. You can think about sales as prospecting. Prospecting means you are assessing a particular client or a particular individual and you're saying, what can I, how can I, why should I, sell or offer a solution to this person? It means qualifying leads. You may go for an exhibition, you may show 1,001 people what you have to sell, but eventually you need to be able to qualify them. You need to be able to know who is a viable lead, who is going to buy eventually. It means presenting offers. What's my offer? What am I offering to this person? It means negotiating terms. When you sell, there must be terms. You're not going to sell today and tell somebody to come and pay you in 10 years, especially with the inflation in Nigeria. What that simply means is that you've lost that money. It also, it means bringing solutions to people. For me, I really love to stay around that point that defines sales as bringing solution. You are a solution bringer. You are somebody that, you look around and you help people to see what they are not saying. It's called demand generation. You look, for instance, for those of us in healthcare sales, you look in a hospital and say, this is what they need, even when the people do not know that they need it. If you're selling clothes, you look at someone who has bought a t-shirt and you say, you may want to buy a jean with that. You may want to buy this kind of shoes. You are helping them to see what they are not saying. You're selling you're selling makeup, and you may want to also sell skincare products. I particularly like that meme about ewagoyi and bread. How that people see, when you see ewagoyi sellers, you see bread sellers following them. For those of us that are in Nigeria, we know the ewagoyi and bread story. Or the story of small chops when it became a friend of finger food. Puff Puff. Puff Puff wasn't doing fine until it became a friend to samosa, spring rolls. That's like you presenting more offers. I remember when the guys who started the finger foods rave in Nigeria started. It wasn't all about puff puff. They will put your spring roll, samosa, and that was what gave, that it's like saying you're upselling. So it's offering something and offering more over what you have offered. Now, how does sale occur? Sometimes it occurs face to face. You meet your client. Sometimes you're not meeting your client. Sometimes you're making phone calls. Sometimes you're writing emails. Sometimes you're even online. So many of us have bought things online. If I make a call today to someone on my phone and, maybe I talk about a particular kind of sneakers, the AI now these days would, in another few seconds, I will begin to see pop-ups of, adverts on sneakers. Those are online. It's like some form of adverts leading to online sales. Sales occurs in various ways. Now, by extension, let's move to business. Business is like the older brother of sales. I like to term it that way because there is no business that can thrive without sales. I'll repeat that. There is no business that can thrive without sales. Sales is like the crux of business. Let's take a look at how about you make food in a restaurant and nobody comes to buy the food? How about you prepare an event center and people do not come to use the place? How about MTN has all the infrastructure to offer us all of the data that we need and nobody subscribes to them? It just simply means that you need to be able to sell what you're offering as a business. I stand to be corrected, but I'm of the opinion that the sales unit or the sales department is the most important department in an organization. It's a very important department. It's about, for me, it's the most important department in an organization, because if you're not selling what you're producing, if you're not selling, then you're not in business. It's as simple as that. That's the summary. Even if it's a service you're selling, even if you are a NGO, you will still need to push out in sales for people to understand what you're doing at all. So sales is critical to business. Even though business is a broader concept, it pulls in other functions within the organization's operations, marketing, finance, strategic planning, human resource. Sales is still the key unit within an organization. That being said, let's just take a look. Let's take a peek into the sales role within the healthcare space. Let's take a look at the sales role within the healthcare space. So let's imagine that you are a salesperson in the healthcare space. Just sit down and imagine for a few minutes. You are practically someone that has 3 full-time jobs. Take it or leave it. It is a tough role to be in. You practically, and I'll describe it to you. So as a salesperson in the healthcare space, you are a salesman, you are a healthcare provider, you are a consultant, you are even an advisor. In fact, you are a professional. I've mentioned like 5 full-time jobs. Then you can now think about your side also. You are a presenter, you are an exhibitor, you are all in all. And I mean, essentially, that's how it is in all other industries. So I'll pause at this point in time, and I'll say from this time on in this conversation, whatever I'm saying about sales is essentially the same thing across all industries. There might be a few differences here and there, which of course, based on the product you're selling or the service you're bringing across, but essentially, the sales role is the same thing across all industries. So what exactly does the role of sales involve? What does it involve? What do you think that sales roles involve? First off, let's talk about education. Now, this is not education as per you going to school to learn sales. You remember that Titilope already mentioned it at the beginning of the conversation. She said, I'm a pharmacist by training, but I got into the sales role. I explained at the beginning of the call how I got into the sales role. Thank you, Odafe. I see your chart. You said sales is finding a need and presenting the value to those who need it to drive profit. Thank you so much, Odafe. That's spot on. Spot on. So I'll go back to what I was saying. Education. The first thing about your role as a salesperson is that you need to educate your clients, customer, patient, whoever it is that is on the buying end. They need to be educated about what you're selling. And that leads to product knowledge. Now, I have a cup with me here, and I'm going to take a sip of water and explain with my cup. So if I need to sell that cup and I do not understand what that cup can offer my customer or my client, then I will not be able to sell the value of that cup. And that explains why some people will buy a bag for millions of naira, and some people will say, oh no, I can't get that bag. I can't get that Gucci bag. I can't get that Louis Vuitton. I can't get that Rolex wristwatch, because somebody has not been able to explain the value of the product to them, or they do not need that value. Someone needs to understand the knowledge of that product. So when you see people sell some of those products, they're selling the luxury. There's something within that product that you're selling, and that knowledge must be clear to you as an individual. In my experience in sales, I've had to sell premium products all through my life. I said earlier, I worked with Pfizer for 9 years before I moved on to GE. And in my days in Pfizer, if I had a drug that was 3,000 naira, then all the competitors would be at least half the price and even much lower. I had the responsibility to sell that drug. It was premium We had nothing less than premium, and we had to sell that premium. But we did sell premium. We sold a lot of it because of the product knowledge. There's something that stands out what you're selling. It is the knowledge of the product, and you need to pass it across to the customer. You need to pull out the value that is in that product, and that's what you discuss with your customer. And then when I left Pfizer, I'm now with GE, and I still sell premium. I still sell premium. It will do much more than every other product will do, and you have to be able to explain that much more. That is when the customer will be able to understand and then pick the value in what you're saying. And that leads to professionalism. You educate your customer, you share product knowledge in a professional manner. You don't go to a customer and say, you see, that other one you're using, I beg, forget it. It's not going to work. Let me tell you. No, you have to be professional in your discussion, in your communication with the customer. I remember then back in Pfizer, we would say that we do not use superlatives. We do not use this is the best. We do not use this is better than others. We just come to you and tell you what exactly this product is going to do. Yoruba people have an adage. They say that if you are sure of your medicine, you will use your head to hit the wall, because you know that when you use the medicine, your head will be safe. That's exactly what professionalism is. You are sure of what you're offering. You're sure of this solution that you're bringing. You're sure of the value of what you're selling. You bring across the information in a highly professional manner. You speak to who you're speaking to, and then you just let them know you're not bringing superlatives and saying, oh, this is better. You can compare, right? But you're not saying this is better. For instance, we used to compare using the features of the product. You compare using the features, you compare using scientific facts. There are facts that come with the product you're selling. Speak your facts and move on. And that brings me up onto consulting. By the time you become a professional, by the time you deal professionally in sales, you become a consultant automatically. I've had customers call me to say, oh, Fumi, I want to set up a hospital and I want us to talk. I'm not an architect. I'm not a builder, but I wish I could put up that picture. I have 1 or 2 pictures of when I've had to wear, construction hats and go to where, my clients, their sites that are still under construction, because the clients want me to see the sites. They want me to be able to advise and say, what kind of equipment should be here? What do you think? They want to take my input, even as they are building. I don't sell building materials, though. I sell medical equipment. But they would come and say, you know what? We need your input as we build. Because they've seen how professional you are. They see that they can consult you. They see that they can ask you questions. They see that you have the knowledge of what you're selling. So it's very important that, at the role really includes you being a consultant. You're technically an advisor. You are a trusted advisor. A salesperson, a good salesman is a trusted advisor. And that brings me to the next point, which is relationship building. You cannot sell to somebody who you do not have a rapport with. I do not mean chummy, this person is now my friend. You can't be chummy with everybody, but you must build rapport. You must build very good rapport with people that you want to sell with. They are probably, when I started in sales, I was a young girl. I had mentors, very good people who mentored me in Pfizer. Thank you to all of them. There are so many across the globe now. And one of the things that I saw them do that I imbibed was that our customers we built a very close relationship with our clients. So when I also grew on the role, if you were an older man, you were my daddy. If you were an older woman, you were my mommy. I had friends. I had, there was a place for every of my customers. There was, in fact, I have customers that will travel for vacation and come back and say, Fumi, I'm back. Come and take your perfume I bought for you. Fumi, I'm back. Come and take your chocolate. We had built that relationship. I am of the opinion that, and I digress now. You can't have a love relationship with somebody you cannot smile with. That is how sales is. You cannot sell to somebody that you're not willing to build a rapport with. Oh, I don't like that guy. He's very strong-faced. He's very this, he's very that. That's why you need training. I went through a couple of training on emotional intelligence, insights training, all of that to understand people's temperament. When you understand the temperament of your client, you can walk around that temperament and fit to serve the client right. So that way you can then get to build relationship. I say I've put consulting on this slide twice. All right. And that brings me also to market analysis. You are educated, you can educate your customer, you give product knowledge, you offer the value of the product, you are a professional, you are a consultant, a technical advisor, a trusted advisor. You build good relationship. Without numbers, you're not doing anything in sales. Without numbers, you're not doing anything in sales. For sales, numbers is king. Numbers is king. And I put that in capital for a good reason. You need to be able to analyze your markets, analyze your clients, analyze what you're doing. I'll give you an instance. Back then in pharma sales, we would have monthly business reviews. Let me put up this for a bit so that you can all see it very well again before I bring it down. We used to have monthly business reviews. And, they would say, list out your top 10 clients. And I would list out my top 10 clients who I used to visit a lot. Amiable clients, clients that like to see your face, clients that when you get to them, they will gist. And then for some reason, I had a very detailed manager who called my attention at some point and said, I want your top 10 clients with the numbers. I want to see what they're doing. So that very month, I drew the numbers. Man, those people I was smiling with were not the ones buying. You could assume in sales if you are not working with numbers. And that's why I say in sales, numbers is king. You can assume in sales if you are not working with numbers. And that's why CRMs are very important. Customer relationship management tools. If it's Salesforce you're using, if it's as simple as Excel, ensure that you're crunching your numbers on a consistent basis and you're seeing who is buying, who is not buying. And that way you can even apply principles like the Pareto principle. Because and I believe in that principle 100%, that the people that will give you 80% of your sales are actually 20% of your customers. And that's most times when I need to check with maybe reports or subordinates. As when I was in Pfizer, I had subordinates in retail, in the retail team. I'll tell them, crunch your numbers, give me the top 20. The top 20 people that give me 80% of your business. And more often than not, that works. It's almost a rule that you cannot sweep off the carpet. Pareto principle: 20% of your customers will give you 80% of your numbers. Numbers is king. Analyze your market. Know exactly what you're doing. Don't just say, I'm selling. I'm selling. No, I'm selling. No, you're not selling if you don't know the numbers. You're not selling if you're not listing your numbers, if you're not following your numbers back to back. And this will now help you to know how to support or collaborate with your customer. Maybe that person you're going to visit, gisting with, spending a lot of time with, isn't the person you should be spending so much time with after all. It's when you have crunched the numbers that you're able to say, oh, now I know how to collaborate. Yes, I will visit these people, but not as much as I need to go to this other place where I have higher stakes. It is about stakes. It is about how much I'm going to sell here. I have higher stakes here. Let me spend more time here. Let me develop this customer. However, that being said, there's this, quadrant that usually we follow in the sales world, and you can actually, you can pick your customers based on their ability to buy or ability to deliver the number compared to how much you need to visit them. So if you put a balance to that, you know who you should be visiting, how well you should be visiting, how much importance, how much priority you should place on who and who. And that way you can collaborate better. You know where to visit, you know how to call, you know how to follow up based on how much of, that assessment or analysis that you've done with your customer. I would also on this point talk about targeting and segmentation. I think I'll still talk about it sometime further down in the discussion, but you need to be able to target your customers, segment your customers, know who the real customer is, who will be buying and who will not buy. For healthcare sales, and as it is with many other industries, like I said earlier, you need to know and interpret the landscape. How does this industry work? If I don't know how the industry works, I will not be able to yield the best from the industry. So understand the industry you're working in. Are you in telecoms? Are you in entertainment? Are you in tech? Are you in core sales, or you are, whatever it is you're in? Understand, interpret the landscape where you're selling. And of course, follow the ethics and the compliance rules of the industry where you're in. I'll rush from here because I see that our time is really, really flying. And I'll move on to the differences between sales in healthcare and tech. I put this here just because Titi Lopez says tech sales. But again, like I said, you can remove that tech and healthcare and put your own industry there. It will help you, because overall, we're talking about sales. We've said earlier in this call, sales involves the exchange of goods and services. Wherever you find yourself as a salesperson, you need a results-oriented mindset. Critical. You need a result-oriented. If you are somebody who gets tired somewhere along the line, then you may want to consider another choice of career, because sales is about results. And we have a joke that we share in the sales, in the sales world. We say the reward for good work is more work. So say, for instance, I meet my target for sales this year. Next year, my upline is just going to say, come, did you do 4 billion last year? Come on, girl, come give us 4.5 billion next year. The reward for good sales is more sales. So a good salesperson is a results-oriented person. You are not going to complain when the numbers are coming. Yes, you can argue that, okay, maybe this territory or this region cannot deliver this, but you have to have a mindset that is result-oriented. Also, of course, wherever you are in whatever industry, you need to build rapport. I spoke about that earlier. You need to be able to build rapport, and you need to be able to communicate. Very, very important. Communication skills is a whole class on its own. It's a whole class on its own. You need to pick cues from your clients. If you are with them face to face, you're picking their non-verbal cues. You are following through. You know who you're talking to. You know how you bring it across. You need to be able to communicate well, irrespective of what you're selling. Before this call, somebody called me from a particular telecommunications industry. I will not mention the name because I love them so much. I think that guy was just not a trained person. And he wanted me to do something on my account. No, sorry, a particular fintech. And he wanted me to do something on my account. And he goes, hello, good afternoon. Am I on to Olufunmilayo Dedewo? I'm from Money Point. Oh, I already mentioned it. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, okay, good afternoon. Can you kindly tell me what your name is? Because you have just called me with an unknown number. You are even lucky that I picked. And then you just want to run into the talk like that. You haven't even said your name. And then he went ahead and said, oh, I'm so sorry, my name is this. And I'm like, oh my God. You need to be able to communicate as a salesperson. Sometimes I call my clients and I'm like, the first thing I want to ask them is it a good time to call? Especially if I think that conversation is going to be a long conversation. You want to know if it's a good time to call, because the person is on the call. You do not know what is happening on the other side of the line. You want to find out, oh, is it a good time to talk to you? And that's why back in the day when we were in pharma sales, some doctors will walk some sales representative out of their consulting rooms because they just don't do the communication thing right. You badge into a consulting room or into somebody's office without a pre-appointment, and then you want to take all the time, or you don't want to go straight to the point, or you're hammering on what you're not supposed to be saying, or you're trying to make them think that they're not doing well for not buying what you're selling. We need to learn to communicate, irrespective of the industry we're in. And then demonstrating value proposition, I cannot say that enough. I cannot say that enough. You must be able to demonstrate the value of what you're selling. I'll give you an instance. I have a machine that is presently maybe like 19 to 20 million naira, and all the competing brands for this machine are less than 3 million. But I need, on every account, for every person that I'm meeting to sell to, I need to demonstrate the value of that machine. I need to be able to say that this is what this machine will do, that other one will not do. I'm not saying this machine is better. I'm just saying that this machine has an integrated this machine has this and this, that other one cannot offer you. And when you look at it, for instance, it will help your workflow in the hospital. It will help you to admit your patients right. It will help you to discharge on time. It will help the overall business. And then the person that needs to buy would actually see that value when you present the value right. I have a colleague who usually will sit with our customers when they want to sign off to buy. She sells ultrasound machines from her. And then she will say to them, let us calculate your return on investment right now. She says, you buy this machine, how long after now do you want to make your money back? How many ultrasounds do you need to do? And then they do the calculation, and the customer will come out really elated. Like, wow. Okay, please, just bring me the quote. Let me sign quickly and pay. You need to demonstrate the value. If you are not demonstrating the value of what you're selling, then you may not be able to sell. And of course, we spoke about relationship building. You need to be able to build relationships. However, there are some differences across industries. Some of those differences are across the knowledge of the industry. Sometimes the target audience. I sell in the healthcare industry. I'm probably not going to be meeting people who talk around telecommunication, people who talk around fintech. No, I probably will not be meeting that. I'll be meeting maybe doctors. I need to understand how doctors think. I need to understand how they think. I need to understand the general notes, the general notes around doctors. And at the same time, I need to understand every individual doctor, because sales is customer-centric. Sales is customer-centric. After you have learned the general things around sales, then you will pull it backwards again and come to your individual customer. Take your customers one by one. Mr. A doesn't like when I don't put professor in front of his name. Please call him professor. Mr. B will not like it if Mr. B is the procurement head of this organization. He will not like it if I discuss first with the MD before I come to him. Please go and discuss with procurement head before you share your beautiful, laudable visions and plans for that hospital with the MD. You need to understand your target customers or your target audience. And of course, you need to understand the compatibility of the service or the product that you're offering. Okay, so that being said, let's move on now to how do you close sales? How do you close sales? How many of you have seen those memes that, you see people fainting after 10 years? They say, this is me waiting for a prospect that said I am coming. When they were waiting, they started by standing, then they sat down, then they kukuma fainted. How do you close sales? Sometimes the sales continuum is really long. It doesn't remove from the fact that selling is a continuum. This is a place where, if it was the Bible I was reading, then I would say seller. Note it wherever you are. Selling is a continuum. Selling is a continuum. Sales is a continuum. You don't sell and ghost. You don't say, I've sold to this person now, let me ghost, let me go. Okay, goodbye, see you later. Sales is a continuum. And that's why you need to learn how to close your sales. I know sometimes, like I said earlier, if you don't have staying power, you may not be able to sell. The industry is complex. Sales is complex. The stakes are high because you have competition. You have competition. The stakes are high. How am I to sell 19 million when the other brands are 2 million, 500K, 300,000? But you know that if it's not Panadol, it can't be like Panadol. So you need to know what to do to make that sale. It's important. You need to know what to do to make that sale. And one of the first things that you need to do, offer customer-focused solutions. You can't do too much of that. Let your solution be customer-focused. I'll give you an instance. You know, there's something we call cold calls. Cold calls are calls you make to people that you've not really had any prior discussions with them before. You just go into the organization or to the hospital or to the client to help them look around and see what you can offer them. So there was this particular day I made a cold call to someone and I realized this man doesn't have this, he doesn't have that, he doesn't have this, he doesn't no anesthesia machine, no incubator, no monitor. I started the discussion. I broke the ice. We got on a good note. I built that rapport. And he expressed his interest to buy. So he told me, okay, send me a quote. I sent him a quote. And I thought for a minute that, I hadn't segmented or targeted him well. I didn't put him in the right segment. And then he was quiet for a long time. I didn't hear from him, nothing. I didn't follow up as I should have followed up. Not knowing that this customer actually is somebody who you need to follow up. Very busy customer. Was really, really a busy person. Now, had I known, I would have followed up, closer than my normal follow-up, how do I say now, my process. My follow-up, sometimes I don't like to I don't like to choke my customers. I'll say, okay, I'll call you in another 3 days, call you in another 1 week. But this man was actually he lost my number. So eventually he looked on the quote and found the number of my boss and he called. And in my boss's words, she said, when he called, he said, no, this is not the voice that I was speaking with. Please give that phone to the person that came to speak with me. I mean, long story cut short, I had offered him solutions that, were the right solutions he needed, even though we hadn't had any prior discussion. It was right targeting, right segmentation. And eventually we got the sale. I usually tell people, if you are new in sales, if you're like a year or 2 years in sales, please, those are the years of tough, hard work. If you are going into sales, your first 2 years, you need to tear everywhere. You wreck everywhere. Make sure that you have, you may call it millions and zillions of customers. I mean, that's exaggerating, but make sure you have customers that you are targeting, you are segmenting. By the time you get to your 3rd year, whether you are in that industry or not, you would have learned something. You would have learned to target a customer or segment a customer within a shorter period. And for those who really are not cut out for sales, that's where they miss it. First year, they just come with a laissez-faire approach. This sales, I'm just tired. It's not working for me. That's when you should put in the work. I remember when I started with Pfizer. Now I look at my driver now and I smile. I'm like, this guy is enjoying. Because I still am in the healthcare industry, I've been able to target my region well enough. And of course, that experience helps me to target other regions that I work in. Back in the day, my driver will resume by 6, 6:30 we are out. Sometimes 10 o'clock, 9:30 we are not back. But I knew I had a goal. The goal was to learn to target, was to learn the nitty-gritty. When something becomes a part of you, you never lose it. When something becomes a part of it, you will never lose it. So those were my days of targeting, my days of putting in the work. Please, if you are new in sales, do the work early enough. When you do the work in the early days of sales, later on, people will now say you are coasting, but you're not coasting. There's no sudden success. Put in the work early enough, and then if you want to call it coasting, no problem, then coast later. Pay attention to value proposition. We've talked about that a lot. Understand the landscape. We talked about that. Build trust and credibility. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Don't be that salesperson who calls a customer and the customer doesn't want to pick your call. Do not be that salesperson. Let your yes be yes. That's the way you can close sales. That's the way people can trust you. You know, I said it before. I said a good salesperson is a trusted advisor. Let your yes be yes. When you are offering value, don't promise what your product cannot do. When I was in Pfizer, I saw the product called Novask. Novask is for mild to moderate hypertension. You will never hear us say to the customer that when your patient has severe or hypertensive emergency, prescribe Novask. No, no, no. It will not do the job. Do not prescribe it. Some doctors will even say, oh, this Novask works well for mild and moderate hypertension. Don't you think I should prescribe it for people with severe hypertension? Please, sir. No, sir. If you want to keep it and add on another drug to it, fine. But you want to start a patient that has severe hypertension on Novask? No, sir. So you have to say the truth and keep it true. And then follow up, effective follow-up. Again, I said it earlier, don't sell and ghost. Don't introduce something you want to sell and disappear. Follow up. Know how to maneuver decision-making processes. If you are in healthcare or any other industry, if there's something, you know, some of us know about tenders, governments. If when you are knowing about that tender is when the tender is already out, you have lost that sale already. You must be able to maneuver decision-making within your client's organization. Who is the key decision maker? Who should I be talking to? Who is the influencer? Who is the supporter? Who is the key stakeholder? Who would bring my cost to people? Who would talk about me or what I'm selling? Who would, you know, there's some people that we call opinion leaders. Who is the opinion leader? Who is the person that will push my opinion within this organization? Find them, maneuver their processes. Know how you work with them. Know what will annoy Mr. A that will now spoil the whole discussion you've been having. Emotional intelligence is really key. Know how to maneuver decision-making processes. Of course, deal objectively with issues and objections. Very critical. There's no product without an objection. Even if your product is made in heaven, designed in heaven, there is no product without an objection. And that's why very recently, how many of us followed the story around, is it Kopiko, what now? Tomato paste or Kojiko or something. If you know about the story, put yes in the chat box for me. Let me know if you're following. And I felt like this was just an objection. Just undo the objection. Deal objectively with it. A client says your tomato paste is too sugary. Apologize. Or maybe not. Erisco, thank you. Erisco tomatoes. And the whole thing was just handled in a wacky manner. Absolutely wacky manner. When I started as a sales representative, there was something that was a core part of our training. If a doctor tells you, I cannot prescribe this product you're talking to me about because of this, and this, the first thing you should tell that doctor, even if you are boiling inside you, that what is this man saying? What kind of nonsense is he saying? The first thing that should come out of your mouth is, thank you very much, sir, for that feedback. You must acknowledge feedback. Thank the person. They probably won't, if they didn't tell you and are not prescribing. I mean, it's It's their right, it's their whatever they like. So you must be able to deal objectively. What is this person saying? Don't listen to talk back. Listen to hear what your customer. The reason many people don't sell is because they don't listen. They talk too much. Many people do not sell because they talk too much. I said at the beginning of this call, I was an introvert. I still am an introvert, even though I'm a little ambivertish when I get into, this mode. But I'm predominantly introvertish. But I make bold to say that I'm a good salesperson. Because in sales is not about talking all the time. You must listen. Listen to what your customer is saying. You are assuming that the customer cannot pay. When what the customer is saying is that, oh, when you are finished selling this shoe to me, I will need a shoe pad. You are assuming that the customer, thank you very much, Tunde, I appreciate. You are assuming that the customer is not buying because he cannot afford. But what the customer is saying to you is that, this incubator that you are giving to me, does it have a weighing scale in it? This t-shirt, how does it work in a humid environment? Is it something that will dry easily? Or is it something that will keep me warm in the cold? You need to listen to the customer. You need to hear what the customer is saying. That is the only way you can offer a solution to the customer. That is the only way you can offer a solution to the customer. And of course, again, issues of integrity, you must keep your words true. Whatever you do, you must keep your words true. And that brings me to the making of A-list salesmen. I think this is our last slides, and after this, we would summarize and take questions and answers. I see my time is almost gone. It's gone, actually. The first thing is grit. And like my Gen Z friends, I've put Omo times 1 billion trillion in front of that grit. If you are not resilient, you cannot be a salesperson. You cannot be an A-list salesperson. Our candles will burn at night. In fact, we will cry to bed. But in our sleep, we will manufacture another candle. Tomorrow, we are up with another candle. We are going again. We are going again. Because we never give up. That's the spirit of a salesperson. Grit. You need that grit. You need resilience. You cannot give up. You cannot give up. If you've not heard anything today, hold that one very tightly. Grit times 1 million, billion, trillion, zillion, whatever. What's after zillion? What comes after zillion? If you know it, put it in chat for me. You need grit to sell. You need grit to sell. Especially if you are selling in Nigeria. When your product can be 2 naira today and 4 naira tomorrow. Actually, you told me 2 naira yesterday. You people say if you can lie a lot. You need grit to sell. You're not supposed to be angry and now start shouting at your customer. Just explain to them what has happened. In my side also life, I run a little fashion business. And when I started that business, I was selling those items at the present price. I was selling those items at divided by 10 of the present price. And then people will come, who will go and check our page and say, see the prices from 20. I'm like, are you bringing me prices from 2019? Then I will explain to them, Sama, just last 2 weeks, I exchanged the dollar or the pound for so and so money. Then they will sit and say, we too, we understand. But you understood now before you brought that objection to me. Thank you for your objection. But I mean, you would handle the objection. You will have grit. You have, what we call in layman's term, what we call hard skin, tough skin. You will have coconut head if you really want to be a good salesperson. I'm just trying to make it, as close to home as possible. 2, you need to be self-motivated. If you're a salesperson, nobody can motivate you enough. In fact, let me bust your bubble. Sometimes even money cannot motivate you enough in sales. You know those bonuses, incentives. Sometimes money cannot motivate you enough in sales. You need to. That motivation has to come from within. You have to know your why. Why am I here? Fumi, why are you here? Why are you selling healthcare equipment? When I started my journey in Pfizer, by my first year, by the end of the first year, I knew there were some companies I couldn't work for. My passion aligned with the passion of that organization. And even when I was going to move on to GE, I knew what I wanted. I knew my passion. I knew what I wanted to sell. Even though it's premium, it is what you know that when you use it, you have peace of mind. I'm selling peace of mind. That's exactly what I'm selling. I'm selling what in the hospital, when you have it, you can go to rest. I know that you'll not be jumping around, oh, this person will die or that person will die. No, I sell peace of mind. 3, continuous learning and improvement. I need to make that bold because I want you to see it very well. If you see it, type it in chat. What I'm reading now, type it in chat because I want it to resonate in your mind. Never become so much of an expert that you stop gaining expertise. Never become so much of an expert that you stop gaining expertise. Oh, I've been selling for years. Agbasela. Never become so much of an expert that you stop gaining. You learn I'm still learning. I have bosses that when they speak at the office like this, I'm keeping quiet. I'm keeping very quiet. Because when they say some things again, you know the way we say it, it busts my brain. I'm like, see strategy. See strategy. See how people are dishing out strategies. You need to continuously learn and improve yourself if you are going to be an A-list salesman. And you need to be result-oriented. I spoke about that. Keep your eyes on the goal. This is what I want to achieve. Do not be part of those people that say, I'll say it in Yoruba, then I'll interpret to you. I'm a Yoruba girl, actually. Ogata, whether I sell low, whether I don't sell, should be they shall pay me my salary. No, you will not enter this A-list we are talking about. Keep your eyes on the goal. Do it for yourself. Do it for fulfillment. Do it for your own personal fulfillment. Sometimes when I close a deal, I feel like I'm floating. I really feel like I'm like, man, do it for yourself. Be result-oriented. Strategic thinking. They say think outside the box. These days, they're not even thinking outside the box again. Tear the box if you have to. Tear it if you have to, but think strategically. Come up with strategies. We have meetings sometimes, and I have a colleague on this call, and he can attest to that. Thank you, Henry, for joining the call. I appreciate you big time. I learned a lot from Henry on the call. It doesn't, in the office. You may not know, but you need to know it today. Thank you so much, Henry. You will see us saying, this program, we need to go for that program. We need to go for that exhibition. Would have fired that. This I would do. What? Then 1 week later, somebody will just come and say, actually, this program is holding in Ife. Can we analyze, the return on investment? By the time we analyze return on investment, all of us will just say, we're not going again. No. So you can make a decision today. But when you think again about it, tomorrow you can say, you know what? That thing is not worth it. Let's go in another direction. That's how strategically you need to think as a salesperson. And of course, you need emotional intelligence. Are you self-aware? Can you regulate yourself? Do you have empathy? How well are your social skills? How motivated? I put again in brackets. You need to be motivated. You know that thing they used to tell us at NYC. Are you motivated? You say motivated. You need it in sales. You need it seriously in sales. All right. So to my last slide, we'll be looking at where are the untapped, unexploited roles in healthcare. We have the ones that have been exploited: sales reps, we have sales management people, we have product management people all over, business development management, account management. But there are some parts that people are not looking at. Telehealth sales specialists, especially for the Japa movement. There's a lot of opportunity in telehealth. There's a lot of opportunity in healthcare cybersecurity sales. There's a lot of opportunity in remote patient monitoring. In fact, I know 1, 2, 3 hospitals now that the main business owners aren't even in Nigeria, and the hospitals are running fine here in Nigeria, running very fine based on telehealth. So if you peradventure you're in the healthcare industry here, maybe you have done sales, account management, business management, sales operations, and you are getting tired, you want to, you want to transit into the techie healthcare sales, then you can move to telehealth, you can move to healthcare cybersecurity sales, you can move to remote patient monitoring. In summary, no questions yet. It's summarizing. We want to summarize. Put in chat for me 3 things you have learned on this call. 3 things you have learned on this call. Just write this comma, this comma, this comma. Full stop, sorry. This comma, use commas to separate them. 3 things you have learned on this call. I'll write my own. When you talk, drink lots of water. When you talk, drink. That's my own learning today. Water for your throat. Okay, mine doesn't have comma, it's just 1. The career paths, I'm hearing about some for the first time. Oh, good, interesting. Keep learning. Henry says, keep learning. Oh, okay. Otubanjo Olabusayo, you have your hand raised. Okay. Once we're done with summaries, we're going to take your question. Thank you so much, Olabusayo. So 3 things you have learned on this call. Quickly, we need to get to questions and we need to give answers. We need to hear, I need to hear other people too. I need to hear what's, some of the questions they have. Maybe I've not touched on some things, we need to hear what's on the mind of people. Keep learning. How you communicate is key. Build resilience. Thank you so much, Henry. Continue to learn and gain expertise. Communication is key when selling. Learn your market and segment them well. Thank you so much, Kemi Adeyemi. Dara Hamed says a salesperson should have grit. Yes, continually learn, be empathetic and emotionally intelligent. Thank you so much, Dara. Telehealth, following your numbers, 80-20 Pareto principles. Thank you so much, Odafe. Ayodele says, never give up, never give up, never give up. Kanu Nwankwo told us. But instead of us to hear him, some of us were saying, oh, Kanu said, never give up. Anyway, never give up. Be result-oriented, keep learning, communicate effectively. Deborah Mattes, so thank you so much. Donald Iwu. Are you related to Dr. Iwu of Premier Hospital VI? Sales is customer-centric. It is value-driven. Sales is grit. Thank you so much, Donald. Damilola Oladunjoye, you must have grit. You should invest in doing the work in the beginning of your career and must have motivation beyond money. Thank you so much, Damilola. Thank you. I must emphasize, if you are at the beginning of a sales career, invest, put in the work. Put in the work. It will pay off at the end. All right. So Tunde says you're a good salesperson. He says, don't sell and ghost. He says, learn your market and what you're marketing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Olufunmilayo Dedewo says, know your products. Build relationships on every transactions. Be professional. Yes, be professional. Know your products. Build relationship on every transaction. That's really, really key. And Meofua says, continuous learning, effective communication, build good relationship, and grit in sales. Thank you so much. Sinclair says, don't stop learning. Don't stop learning. Keep on learning. Don't stop learning something new. Develop emotional intelligence. Money shouldn't be your only goal. Thank you. Money can be part of the discussion, but it shouldn't be your only goal. I like how you put it, Sinclair. Thank you so much. Olabusayo, self-awareness. Don't give up. Keep motivating yourself. Confidence, Akudo says, keep learning. Never give up. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel elated. It shows that people have followed this presentation. And I would hand over to Titi Lokwe right now. I would like to know how Titi Lokwe, how do we go about the question and answer segment? Any question for me? If you do have, I'm right here to take your questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been a very, eye-opening session. I feel like my favorite part, aside, those lessons about calculating ROI before jumping into, sales events, sales exercises. A lot of people don't do that. We just hear that, oh, this event has a lot of crowd. Let's just go. Right. It's
Hmm.
nice to have
Yeah.
a reminder for such for of such. Also the emotional intelligence part. A lot of people feel like because we are gentle, emotionally matured, right?
Hmm.
Just because you are not reactive doesn't mean that you are handling that emotion right. Doesn't mean that you are
Yeah.
handling the client the way you should, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of
Yeah.
us don't take emotional lessons as seriously as we take, the technical lessons, the sales lesson itself, and all of that. So it's been a very intense session for me. I can see a lot of people as well. I can see participation. For the questions, if you can drop it in the chat box, that's fine. If you want to raise your hand, I think that
Olabusayo was
is
raising her
fine.
hand. Hmm.
Oh, hi Olabusayo. Do you still have questions? Or Dafe as well?
Uh,
Okay, let me take Olabusayo first
okay.
because she raised her hand first.
Just okay.
Hello.
Olabusayo, please unmute. Let's hear your nice, beautiful voice.
Okay, not anymore. So while we're waiting for her or him, let Odafe go. Hi Odafe, can you hear us?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you so much, Fumilayo, for that discussion. It was very, 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 as in, I learned a lot from it. And I was just very smiling very much when you were discussing because I realized something that no matter the industry you are, sales is the same everywhere. Because currently I work in the
Mm,
telecoms industry, and
yeah.
everything you were saying, everything applies to things that we follow a lot. Even though I picked up still a lot of things too from yours. And that brings me up to my question too, because when you started the discussion, you mentioned about how you started first in the medical center. I think pharmaceuticals, yes, you study pharmacy,
Yeah.
but it's also similar to mine. Currently, I work in the telecoms industry in sales, but my first degree I studied microbiology, and
Oh,
but immediately after my NYSC too, I decided to volunteer. Immediately after, I didn't want to have any kind of career gap just after, so I decided to volunteer. And I volunteered in a medical center where I was running microbiological tests. But at that point, I realized that instead of me focusing so much on biological tests, I was more worried about the business. I was noticing declining growth and everything. And at that point, that was when I decided to, I solved the problem in the hospital then. I wrote a proposal then, and I think they started a laboratory then. And right now, so I think when I spoke with the matrons there, they said it accounts for about 40 to 45% of their sales now. So that was when
wow.
I discovered, even though I studied microbiology, I discovered that I liked business development and sales. So
Mm,
immediately after that period, I only spent a few months there, less than 3 months. And immediately after, I decided to learn more about business development. So I decided to enter Globacom. And I've been there ever since. I've learned a lot. I've been able to build relationship, manage channel partners, a lot of the things you were saying. And I was really, that's why I was really so moved with your experiences. But this is where my question comes in. I like to solve problems and, find solutions to them and also create sales, build partnerships. And when it comes to problem solving, what helps me in this is having product knowledge. I enjoy learning about products, how they work, being able to use that for competitive advantage, to be able to sell it off and help your clients see the value in what you are selling. But I know how to do these things very well. There are two parts I enjoy it in. One is in the health, two is in tech. And these are very two diverse industries. Now, recently, I've been trying to make a career move, trying to change companies or also get more very much because I'm in telecoms, but I also want to learn more about tech. Also, too, I also love healthcare sectors. So when I said you worked with Pfizer, I was very curious. Like, how does one now, from what you explained so far, I could see that the method of which sales is being done in telecoms, I don't want to speak for another industry because I haven't worked there, but the method at which sales is done in telecoms is so similar to the way things are being done in your sector. In
mm,
fact, I can even say the structure is so similar. But it's not, I don't believe the transition is easy, especially for me. Now, for me, I believe that when it comes to, for me, I understand business development and sales well. And I believe the only thing that I need to know to be able to sell in another industry is just product knowledge, which I know how to do very well because I enjoy it. But let's say, for example, I want to work in the healthcare industry. Now we are talking about how to navigate it. How does one even be able to transition in it? Because I don't believe coming with a background in telecoms and sales is something that the healthcare industry will look at it as something that will be able to be profitable for them. How does one navigate such things? Or is there a gap one has to cover to be able to prove that, oh, yes, I have the skills to be able to sell healthcare products? Although you gave a very good one, which I will research on, that is telehealth. But at the same time, so do you have any ideas as to how one can navigate this?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Odafe, for this question. It's amazing, you know, the wealth of experience you have, and I'm really, you know, I'm elated at, you know, what you've said. So how do you navigate? Amazingly, healthcare, have you heard of digital health? Where I work now,
Yes, I have.
yes, where I work now in GE, we have digital health. The only thing that may be a little setback is that most of those roles, most times, some of those roles don't sit in West Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa or Africa, as the case may be. But these are budding roles that are coming up that you may want to look into. You know, I mentioned telehealth, I mentioned cyber security health sales. There's also digital health. So in GE now, I transited from within the healthcare space, I transited from pharma to medical equipment. In GE, we have a digital health team, and all they do is anything tech, some sort of back end, you know, solutions for our products. That's what their roles are for. Anything. So even when you're talking about, I don't know if you've been to hospitals before and you observe that a doctor can see the patient monitor in a ward, maybe on his own screen in his office. There are
I've seen
things such
such.
as central monitoring solutions. So you can talk around central monitoring solutions. You said you worked in a hospital, you may know about PACS solutions that the diagnostic centers use, such that maybe if you enter a big diagnostic center now, if you're going to do a test and you're going to move from MRI to CT scan to mammo to ECG, you're not going there again to show them your paper. All of these things are already fully integrated. There's a workflow. There's a seamless workflow. Now, these are the kind of roles that if you have a blend of health and tech, those are the kind of roles you can transit into. You may want to look at digital health. You may want to look at, you know, all of those. So it would be more of a back-end role. But the only thing is that presently or currently, we don't have much of those roles sitting in Africa. I stand to be corrected, but I do not see most of those roles in Africa. And most of those roles also sit with multinationals. So how would your transition work? You will look out for those roles within multinational organizations, because that's where you would really find them actually. In Pfizer, then we had people who were in Pfizer who were doing what we called mobile intelligence. Mobile intelligence was about how that, you know, those of us who were sales representatives who were selling the product were being monitored. You know, all of those Salesforce. You can also even transit into Salesforce in the healthcare industry. You know, you can do mobile intelligence. You can do, you know, there's there's Viva, there's mobile intelligence. There's so many CRMs around. You know, I used in the healthcare space, and those are they are used on the roles that you can transit to. However, I also feel that with your degree in microbiology, if what you're eventually looking at or looking out for is for a role in sales, then you can still transit into sales easily with your microbiology training. Because I know that many sales organizations actually have microbiologists as salespeople. Many healthcare, pharmaceutical healthcare, medical devices healthcare, they have microbiologists as salespeople. I don't know if this answer helps you, or I mean, if this answer has...
Yes, it helps me though. Although I think I failed to mention that I am my current experience in telecom sales is
Okay.
7 years. So I've been working in telecom sales for 7 years.
Oh, so why do you want to transit?
No, not transiting from sales. You understand?
Okay.
I'm looking at, yes, I want to try and explore other industries too, to see what, and
Okay.
basically why I said I'm focusing on tech and why I take of tech and health is because these are two areas whereby product knowledge, I'm very enthusiastic with them. I can't see any new development in tech or in health whereby I don't instantly start doing research on. So because of this, I think this gives me an advantage in these areas. So that's why I'm looking at both tech and health. And health is because my background is there and based on what I've done before. So I know I have a passion for this area too, but I also have it in tech. But the problem is that these are very, very diverse sectors.
Yeah, so you can pull it together. You can pull it together with the telehealth or with the cyber securities and all of that. You can. I have a classmate who we were classmates in university. We both studied pharmacy. Who actually started our career together in Pfizer. He moved to telecoms, and I think is back now again in healthcare. But of course, all in sales. So I know that, I mean, people kind of do those kind of transitions too. But for you, you may want to look at telehealth, cybersecurity, and all of that. It would be a good tie for you. It will be a good tie for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Odafe. Thanks for the question. Okay, so I think we can take Olabusayo. Olabusayo. Olabusayo, you had your hand up. Let me look in chat if we have other questions that people may have.
Yeah. So the question I posted there was from someone. Yeah. So which is the health space? It's really diverse. Right? There are people who are in the consumer product space. You know, they sell drugs, those stuff that we use at home. You know, there are people who are in the software space, right? I work for a product development company, and we built a number of healthcare products for companies, EMRs, telehealth products, all of those things, right? They're still sitting in that space as well. Sell those products for them, right? To the hospitals that they designed it for. There's also the hardware space, which was, this is where you currently play at GE.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So
yeah.
We understand. I don't think everybody is very enlightened to know how much, how vast the healthcare space is. So yeah, how hard? Which of them is the hardest? Which of them is the easiest to sell?
All right, thank you, Busayo. So I wouldn't like to use the word difficult actually, because from where I sit, nothing is difficult to sell. And I'll repeat that. I want to emphasize it. Nothing is difficult to sell. You heard when I said to you that within the same industry, we have price variations, like you have some to hundreds of thousands, and I'm selling mine to tens of millions, and I still have to sell it. I think the core thing around selling is to be able to let your customer understand the need for the product. And people may not be selling because they are probably talking to the wrong customers. But when you get the right customer and you are able to explain the need to that customer, you will find that your selling will not be difficult. And that's why I say, from where I sit, nothing is difficult to sell. In the midst of COVID, people were at home, and in my side also, people were buying clothes. And I'm like, Where are you buying this close to? Because even me that I'm selling it, I'm in my house, so. But people were buying. People were buying. I attended a conference, I think 3-4 Saturdays ago, and I was privileged to listen to the CEO of Visa. What's it now? Verve, right? And he was saying that, he was trying to explain to us that you just need to get the need. You need to explore, you need to be able to identify the need and try to make the customer understand the need. Once that is done, nothing will be difficult to sell. EMRs, hospitals need EMRs. Some would even have a particular AMR and tell you they want to change. You don't like the one you are using. I've had a customer put a machine that he bought for almost, at the time, if the machine was like 6 million, he took it out of his hospital and put it under the staircase outside. And then he told me to bring mine that was like 11.5 million. And he installed it and was using it. It was after installation, he now told me that, for me, this machine that I put under my stairs, you find me somebody to just come and buy it as scrap. Why? Because he was able to see the need that my own machine would offer him that other one was not offering him. So Busayo, I'm not sure that there's anything that is more difficult to sell than the other. I mean, in that regard.
It's not Busayo's question.
What did you say?
It was a question from somewhere else. It wasn't Busayo's question though.
Oh, it wasn't Busayo's question. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see. Oh, I thought that Busayo was unmuted and speaking. Sorry. Okay, so
no,
whoever
she hasn't spoken since. Hopefully she's able to put that question in the chat box.
Oh, okay. All right then. So whoever sent that question, I hope I was able to help.
But then, is there any one of those markets that has like a larger, market size, or a much, what's it called, response, or do they have like equal market opportunities?
Maybe not actually. And again, based on our where we are, we're in Nigeria. Let's speak for Nigeria or maybe West Africa. We have not come of age well enough to some level of technology. And I'll explain to you. Some of the products that I sell in Nigeria, in West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, up onto Kenya, some of those products are still very simple compared to what guys are using in the Arab world, in UAE, in Iran, in places like that. Why? Because they've gone high ahead of us when it comes to technology. And that would make me say that if you are selling EMRs, telehealth technologies, you may not have a huge share in the market share of healthcare, in the healthcare space, as much as those who are selling the drugs and the equipment. The reason is because for now in Nigeria, we are more of, oh, let me see what I'm buying. What am I buying? I don't know if you understand that thing. What am I buying? What am I putting my money on? Oh, I'm buying drugs. So patients will come, they will take the drugs. Good. I'm buying a machine. I'll use the machine for so and so procedure. Good. But I'm buying a technology. When we make money, we'll buy technology. For now, let's still be using our paper. Of course, many hospitals have gone beyond that. Talk about the big names in Lagos, a lot of big names in Abuja. If you are bringing newer EMRs, you may need to be able to sell the value of that EMR to displace the current ones they are using. Because most hospitals now, they have some sort of EMR. Most hospitals will have some sort. If there's a hospital without any form of EMR, they are still using paper now and fine. I would not like to recommend that hospital in any way, So, but basically, the market share in the healthcare space is bigger for hardware products and pharma products. Actually, it is bigger for hardware and pharma products.
Interesting point of interesting. It's interesting to hear from somebody who is actively in the market, right? I honestly would have felt like, oh, okay, tech in Nigeria, so interesting. Emmanuel has a point in the chat box, but then while Fumi is trying to read that, so guys, if you want to connect with her, you want to ask her more questions, you want to transition into health space, I've dropped a LinkedIn profile link in the chat box. So please don't overwhelm her, but like hijack her, take advantage.
No problem. I'll find
I've
the
already
time.
followed her. I'm waiting for a connection.
Okay, fantastic. I've dropped
After
her
this
link in
call,
the chat box.
after
If
this
you
call,
haven't-
I will
Nice. And
accept your invite.
if you're joining this session for the first time, it's put together by the tech sales and partnership community. We are more like a safe haven for commercial people in commercial roles in tech. So you could be in sales, be in BD roles, right? Be a sales analyst, be a sales engineer, right? Anything that has to be commercial roles. We provide support, provide educational sessions just like this. I jack people like for me, pluck them out of their busy schedule and then put them in front of you so you can pick their brains. And if you have questions in day to day, you have questions, you need help, right? It's a safe space. There are no questions that are silly, right? And then there are people that are more than happy to help you out, answer your questions and even share their own experiences. I'm going to be dropping our community link in the chat box for you to join in for more sessions. We have sessions like this every bi-weekly. Yeah. Okay, so Emmanuel said he works in the healthcare space, a healthcare tech multinational, and his biggest challenge is re-educating the market. Yes,
Yeah.
that sounds like FMCG. True. You guys share the same struggle like FMCG people do, unlike we in core tech space. A lot of people that are using what we sell already know about it, and then you're dealing with people that so we have it a bit easier than you guys. We don't need to be teaching them why they need application. They already know why, right? You just go straight into business. So power to you guys, Emmanuel. Power to you guys.
I feel you. I really feel you, Emmanuel, because I understand exactly what you're saying. Even for those of us who sell tangible things, like that sell the machines, they still tell you. This thing is too expensive. I don't know why I should have it. And you tell them, oh, it has this and that and this and that. It's going to help you. It's going to say, as you say, well, let me buy the one that I can buy now. When it spoils, I will come back. They actually get to tell you that. They say, let me buy that one now. Let me buy that one that you said there. Let me go and buy it first. So I feel you, Emmanuel. I think I should say I'm rooting for you. It will get better. No, but we're gradually growing in Nigeria, right? With the likes of the big names like the Uracares, the Evercares, the Duchesses, the Nizamias in Abuja, you may be able to, you will, don't let me say me, you will be able to break through. I mean, ultimately in Africa, there are some real huge investments, that are happening, over and over now from across West Africa, even in Africa, and I think that we would grow. You will grow. Let's see your present role and your present responsibility as a role that you will need to grow, grow with the environment. The environment needs to grow with you, but I mean, you will get there someday. I mean, I understand you, Emmanuel, and I really feel you.
Thank you so much for me. And before you go, someone raised his hand the other time, but it's lowered. So yeah, so before we let me go, one more question. And okay, yeah. Dayo, hi Dayo.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi Dayo.
Good evening. I think I actually came late to this session, but so far so good. I think with the few words and few this thing, I'm enjoying the section. Please, I'd like you to drop your Twitter and Twitter or LinkedIn handle so that I can add you up and
I'm very dry on Twitter.
What about LinkedIn? What about LinkedIn? So
LinkedIn
that I can follow up. I can follow up with the process, please, and try as much as possible to drop the slides so I can go through it, please.
Yeah, the slides will definitely be in the we'll have the slides in the learning
Yeah,
channel.
thank you very much.
Yeah, on in the Slack channel, in the Slack community. So don't worry. Recording, Slack, everything's gonna be dropped. Recording, slides, everything's gonna be dropped. And I've dropped Fumi's LinkedIn profile again. If you want to join, if you want to send a connection, dial. Yeah. So before Fumi goes, for people that are looking for opportunities and then in the healthcare space, is there like a page they can go to get information on multinationals, right? Companies in Nigeria, right? That they're in the healthcare space. Maybe they want to research these companies, see which ones they can apply to, or even see which ones they can sell to. Like they're like a space, just like we have, Tech Cabal for techies.
Okay, all of that, yeah.
All of that, yeah. So what are like platforms and resources like this?
So it's like we're not, in with healthcare people. I didn't tell you that part. We can be very dry, We're serious. We like to be very serious in our life. So, but really, what I advise people is follow the multinational, follow the companies, that you are interested in. And that's one of the things that have worked for me. So before I joined G, I had followed G a while ago, even put in one application some time back. I don't know if that touched them, but when I got this role, it was actually G that came. It was like a LinkedIn poaching, more or less. So yeah, I'm not sure there's any healthcare cabal, but you can follow the names that you want to. And I like LinkedIn for that. LinkedIn allows you to follow the organizations you want to follow. You can see what you're doing. In fact, if you're, apart from following organizations on LinkedIn, you can actually apply to roles in organizations and then have your CV. Most of those, big organizations, maybe on their Workday or on their HR, sites, have your profile there. And sometimes they would even send you roles. When they have openings, they will send you roles based on your profile. So when you go to any particular organization, whether you're following them or you've applied to a role before, ensure that you have saved your profile, and some of them will give you the opportunity to click on the kind of roles that you are attaining to within the organization. And then that way they keep sending you invites for openings or vacancies that they have. So for me, I think that's pretty much how it works with the healthcare industry.
Nice. So everybody, I hope we know now. This is actually a very good idea. Someone can start in a Benjamin Dada for
yes,
healthcare.
So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So does anybody else have any more questions before we round this up? Donald.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I mean, it's not a question per se, but I feel like I wouldn't want to leave without saying this. I really loved the way that you carried us along, especially in the comment section. Like it was so great. I mean, I'm always looking for ways to improve how I communicate, and that stood out for me. And I especially you did it such that at the same time we're not distracted from what you are actually saying, right? So was awesome. Thank you so much for the section, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Donald. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. The reviews have been busting on Twitter. Thank you. This was a really fun session. Again,
okay, maybe I will enter that Twitter street. I actually have an account. Funny enough, but
I saw it, but I saw it was a lot. I decided to just leave you alone.
Yeah, I don't think I've typed anything on Twitter before. Yeah, I read it a few things here and there, but I'm more on LinkedIn, and then maybe just that. Dry like the regular healthcare person.
Well, you do a lot, right? Your day-to-day is always something else. So yeah, Thank you so much again for making time out. It's been a fun session. It's been a enlightening one, right? And it's been fun. Yeah, I mean that just captures it. Thank you so much again for making time out for us. And hopefully one of these days, for the year ends, we're able to hijack you again. And
Yes,
then
me again into my
have you.
bro.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Henry, for coming to support for me. It means so much.
Yay! Let me give Henry reactions.
And thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Henry.
everybody that joined. Thank you so much for being fantastic participants. Yeah, thank you for making it worth it. All right, guys, have a lovely night rest. If you want to connect with Fumi, our details, our LinkedIn profile link is in the chat box. Hit that link. And then if you want to join the TSP community, we always have fantastic sessions like this. I will bring brilliant people like this to come and help us, help our lives, and share their experiences. So the chat is also the link is also in the chat box. All right, guys, thank you so much. The recording is going to be on our YouTube page, just in case you came late. And then the slides, link to the slides also is also going to be in the community. So keep in touch. And thank you so much for me. Have a lovely night rest. Have a lovely night rest,
Thank you
everybody.
so much, everybody.
Thank you for me.
All right,
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a nice
Thank you,
night.
everyone.
Titi, thank you
Bye.
so much, Titi. We appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you more. Bye.